I do apologize in advance to be the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately I only have more headaches to give you in this stimulus package update. We've been on a pretty good streak. I've brought you a lot of good news. We started with the HEALS Act, which did make some progress. Then Trump signed his executive orders, which was another piece of progress. And then we were ultimately expecting negotiations to continue, and hopefully we would have gotten a stimulus check by the end of this week, or some sort of announcement to know that a stimulus check is on the way. But unfortunately, negotiations and talks kind of dropped, and it's just being dragged on, and unfortunately the Democrats and Republicans are nowhere near a deal. On top of that, lawmakers are taking vacations now. So let's lay it out. What do we know so far about the next stimulus check? Let's take a look. So to bring more distress, as Americans are eager and begging for another stimulus check, talks and negotiations may drag on, and that would mean that Americans might not possibly see their next stimulus check until the wee weeks of September. White House officials and Democrats have expressed that they are nowhere near to cutting a deal. There is a total gap that they are still trying to bridge, and negotiations and discussions will just drag on and continue for eternity. This is after countless closed-door discussions and each side blaming the other for the stalemate. The tragedy, the sad part about this, is both parties agree that there should be another $1,200 stimulus check. Both parties want to see that go out to families. Perhaps the Democrats want a little bit more, but both agree, and both would be much satisfied with seeing a $1,200 stimulus check go into the hands of Americans. But the problem is that they disagree on a lot of other key issues that would come with the stimulus package, and that would be including the price of the package. Republicans are more in line with a $1 trillion price tag. Democrats are looking as high as $3.5 trillion for theirs. Pelosi had even offered to meet in the middle and compromise. She had offered a $2 trillion price tag with the next stimulus package, but the White House declined. Basically, the way it is right now, if Congress cannot reach an agreement before this Friday, which is a seemingly impossible feat, Americans would not get another stimulus check until into September. The House has already left Washington for all of August pending a deal on pandemic relief, and the Senate wrapped up its session Thursday afternoon and will not return this month unless negotiators strike an agreement. But to bring any good news, if Congress and lawmakers do reach an agreement before or on this Friday, then checks could go out this month of August. The insane part is that both packages, the main ones that we're focusing on right now, the Republican HEALS Act that was introduced a few weeks ago, and then the HEROES Act, which passed the House back in May, both of the qualifications for that second stimulus check are nearly identical. Both proposals say individuals who earn a gross adjusted income of up to $75,000 and couples earning up to $150,000 would receive the full $1,200 or $2,400 payments, respectively. For higher earners, the checks will be reduced by $5 by every $100 in income and phased out entirely at $99,000 or $198,000 in joint filing. But the big problem here is the fact that the Democratic proposal expands the stimulus check to even more Americans, even undocumented immigrants. Also under the Democratic proposal, dependents and children would also get $1,200 in addition, so the maximum money, in this case under the Democratic proposal, would mean a total of $6,000 cap from the government for any given family. The Republican bill is not too far off. The Republican-led HEALS Act says that, just like the CARES Act, dependents would get $500. The difference is that it's a little bit more expanded, as dependents over the age of 17 and college students would be eligible to receive the $500, but they wouldn't get a $1,200 stimulus check like the HEROES Act proposes. That's not an insane gap to bridge. I'm surprised that they can't compromise on just that aspect alone. So in order for Americans to see cash, one of these bills, or a totally new one, or a modified version of one of these bills, would then have to be passed and agreed upon by both parties, and then passed off to President Trump for him to effectively sign into law. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin tried to make amends and expressed that Democrats should vote on a skinny $1 trillion bill to address the issues that both deeply divided parties can agree on. He had said, quote, "My view on negotiations is that you agree on the things that you can agree on, have legislation that's good for the American public, and then come back for another bill." Democrats hate that. They have vociferously been pushing for a fat, big package that comes with all the nooks and crannies that they want to address. It's unknown when negotiations would restart. Both party lines are calling the other unreasonable And this is all the while Americans, millions of them, are wondering whether they could even provide food on the table in the next coming days or weeks. This is also while both parties are consumed. Their attention is going towards both of their national conventions. The Democrats are focused on nominating Joe Biden as the official Democratic nominee. Right now, he's technically still just the presumptive nominee, and that convention's coming up very soon in the next couple of weeks. And then Trump is considering having his convention at the White House itself, as opposed to the Jacksonville location that was going to be as planned. He's considering doing an official ceremony at his White House. So during the spectacle, both parties would have to come up with and agree upon more aid for Americans to avoid a government shutdown by September 30th. We remember what happened with the last government shutdown. That was over funding for the border wall, and Americans were in dire straits, very bad circumstances. So if you were to couple that now with this pandemic, oh boy, we're going to see a lot of people fall into poverty. So hopefully we can at least try to avoid that government shutdown. I think I would not want to see that happen. The last we heard, Pelosi and Mnuchin last made contact by phone on Wednesday, when Mnuchin once again said that the White House would not double the GOP's roughly $1 trillion aid offer. It's unclear right now when House Speaker Pelosi and Minority Leader Chuck Schumer would once again meet with Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. The last time they made contact was when Pelosi and Mnuchin made contact by phone on Wednesday, when Mnuchin once again said that the White House would not double the GOP's roughly $1 trillion aid offer. When asked by reporters if she had a timeline, she said, quote, "I don't know. When they come in with $2 trillion, we can't wait until September 30th. People will die." This is also on top of the fact that the moratorium on evictions expired last July. Trump did save it with his executive order. This is also in addition to the fact that the window to apply for PPP loans expired and the $600 enhanced unemployment benefits expired on July 31st. All the while, the U.S. unemployment rate of 10.2% in July stood slightly higher than at any point during the Great Recession. In a CNBC interview, Larry Kudlow, economic advisor, said that the Democrats have asked for, quote, too much money. He said Democratic-backed, quote, voting rights measures designed to make it safer for Americans to cast ballots during the pandemic are part of, quote, liberal left wish lists that the president would reject. He said so far it's a stalemate. Pelosi also underscored the disagreement once more when she said that the sides are, quote, miles apart in our values. Democrats did want to keep the $600 enhanced unemployment benefits. They were pushing for that, but then Trump signed the executive order this past weekend that called for $300 from the federal government and $100 per state to give Americans a total of $400 in extended benefits. That is expected to start in the next week and a half or so, according to Larry Kudlow. That's expected to go around till the end of the year, hopefully after Christmas. It's sort of unknown right now until when we're going to be receiving those $400 benefits. There's also a disagreement over state and local aid. Democrats want a figure of $900 billion for state and municipal aid. The Trump administration has called that number unrealistic. Democrats have also pushed for $60 billion in food assistance. The Senate GOP bill that was released last month called for only $250,000, so that's quite the gap there. And then the HEROES Act, the Democratic bill, also included $100 billion in assistance for rent and mortgage payments, while the Senate plan did not include any additional funds. Pelosi is also still pushing her request for school funding, calling for $300 billion. That was a jump from the $100 billion that the House approved back in May. So the Democrats are even asking for more funding than they had originally wished for in the HEROES Act. Republicans were so close to reaching an agreement on that aspect. They had said $105 billion for schools, and much of that money would be tied to physical reopening, though. So at this point, after weeks, it's still gridlock. It's still playing politics, both sides blaming the other. And I guess, we shouldn't be shocked. We sort of saw this happening, but I was, to be honest, hopeful. I really thought that both sides would come together, especially after Trump got these executive orders out of the way, and perhaps Democrats would just give in and agree upon what Trump signed into law, and they could reach an agreement this coming week. But it's total inaction, and it seems as if Americans now are going to be casting their votes before they even get their stimulus checks. Lawmakers should not be shocked when they see that this pandemic, which has affected nearly every single American one way or another, some people have actually benefited from it. So then, of course, a lot of people have unfortunately not benefited from it at all, to say the least. They will not be shocked when Americans use the power of voting at the ballot box this coming November, and a lot of Senate and House members are going to be saying goodbye to Washington. So fundamentally, nothing has boded well over these most recent days of discussions. I am sorry to be disappointing, but I'm just laying it out to you like it is. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm telling it to you like it is. It's difficult for me to say, but if you enjoy this video and you got value out of it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button. Just help with that YouTube algorithm. More people will see videos just like this, so that way they'll be in the know and privy to what's going on. It's very important right now, especially during these tough times. And if you'd like to see more videos from my channel, I do post videos every single week covering business, finance, investing, entrepreneurship, mindset, strategy, and tips and tricks from my own experience. I also do these stimulus check and stimulus package updates just for you guys. And so if you'd like to see that and you're interested in any of those topics, be sure you do click that big red subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that little notification bell as well, so you're notified every single time I make a new video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one, hopefully with some good news next time. We'll see.